Hi, this is Richard Saxton, and you're listening to the No Name RC podcast.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. It's your main man, Lefty. This is episode 8, Legends of RC, the king himself, Richard Saxton. I'm really excited to have Richard on today to talk about RC. He has many years' experience. He's a true legend in Nitro and RC, period. So I'm looking forward to getting his opinions on lots of things. But before we get Richard on board, let's take a few minutes to talk about what's going on in RC at the moment. Some big releases, a big announcement. So let's talk about that. First, let's talk about Lutz. Lutz has announced that he's leaving Techno, which does not come as a surprise to me because I've heard this was coming weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. I don't know where he's going. I've heard many rumors. I mean, I know the big rumor is S-Works. I don't know if that's happening. I've heard other companies that where he's going, but you know, that's the problem with silly season. We don't know where anybody's going until they announce it. That's one of the reasons we haven't done a silly season podcast either, because I kind of want to do it when we know where they're going so we can actually analyze where they are going and talk about it and how we feel it will help them or benefit them or not benefit them. So we're looking forward to doing an actual silly season podcast here after the holidays, once we know where the drivers are going. Lutz leaving Techno, I don't know. It's kind of big news. I mean, he's been with Techno forever. And I think he was pivotal in making Techno what they are today. And whoever is coming in to take his place has big shoes to fill. If JQ Racing could sign anybody right now, we'd definitely go after Lutz. He's a great ambassador. He's fast. He helps everybody. He's full of energy. He's positive. And whoever gets him, they have gotten a true ambassador and guy that's going to help build their brand. So it's exciting. We'll know where he's going shortly. X-Ray has released their new car. It's both pillow ball and C-Hub. It's either innovative or indecisive. I'm not sure, but time will tell. It's definitely out of the box. It gives people 2 tuning options. I don't know how the design went. I'm not a designer. I don't know the design that went into making a car that can work with both systems. It will be interesting to see, for sure, how it works in 2019. I know Ty has always been a fan of C-Hub, so that would explain it going back to C-Hub. We'll see. You know, I can't say anything wrong about it. I can't say something funny. I wonder if somebody will put a C-Hub on the left and C-Hub on the right. I mean, C-Hub on the left and pillow ball on the right, and then swear it on, it's dialed. I don't know even know if it's possible, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see that. So look out for that. Kaiosho Mp10. This was very anticipated. And, you know, I really liked how Kaiosho did the unveiling with the videos and promotion. I thought it was pretty awesome. Seems to show that they are trying to promote and get their product out there. There's been a lot of mixed reviews on this car. I mean, I think a lot of it stems from that people thought it was going to be something completely new and innovative. But to be completely new and innovative costs money, and the risk-reward factor is very, very hard. I mean, you can go new and innovative, and it could not be good at all, and you spend a lot of money, and it sucks, and you lose a lot of money. So they stayed the safe route. They have a proven platform, and they've made refinements. So let's see how this car works. I think nobody should talk about it until they have driven it, until it starts getting results and we see how it works. Also, I'd like to say I'm very interested to see who their top USA driver is going to be this year, or if they're going to have one. But I'm pretty sure they will. We'll know in a couple of weeks, I guess, after Christmas. I haven't really seen any more RC news. I'm pretty sure Lutz's announcement starts the whole silly season thing, and we're going to just get announcements after announcements now. And it's going to be great because I love this time of RC, silly season, start of the new season. It's great. It's my favorite time of RC. So, yeah, let's go on. Let's do a little bit of thanks here. First, I want to say thanks to my JQ racing family around the world. Without you guys, we truly could not do this. I wouldn't be here doing this podcast. Thank you to Brent Densford, Beach RC, Assault RC, JQ Racing USA distributor. Thanks for coming on and doing an awesome podcast last week. Look forward to 2019 and bigger things with you and going to races and having fun and representing JQ Racing. Big shout out and thanks to Jerome Chambon, Donuts RC, Streamline RC, and JQ Racing Europe distributor. Very nice guy, very smart man, and he's helping us out over there in Europe. Lastly, I'd like to say thank you to all the no-name RC supporters, man, Patreons and non-Patreons. I've been getting a lot of messages of support about this podcast. We're striving to make it better each time, getting some new equipment in here to get better quality. We're learning as we go along, but I think our content is great. We've had great podcasts. I've gotten great comments from from many people about the podcast. We try not to make these interviews. We try to make them conversations with people. So I'm super excited. I'm super happy about doing these. I mean, we're planning some great giveaways next year. Please go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our Twitter page and like and share. We're almost at 1,000 likes on our Facebook page. Let's bump that up. I think I have a special giveaway for 2,000 likes on Facebook. That will be sometime next year. We'll see. Maybe I'll lower it, but it's pretty cool what I'm getting done. I think everybody will like it. Thank you to our sponsor. I forgot. FastRaceShop.com. They have come on, obviously, for our 10 questions, 10-second segment that I think is really popular. I like it. It makes the podcast exciting. Remember, if you go to FastRaceShop.com, you type in Lefty 2019, you get 10% off your purchase. Also, remember, we're now affiliated with RCMX Online. Check out RCMX Online. It's one of the fastest growing social media news networks for RC. They got some good blogs. They got our podcast. They got great content on their webpage. And they are definitely pushing and becoming one of the top 3 news sites in RC. So go check them out. You can download our podcast from there and go like and share their Facebook page as well. With that said, I won't ramble on too much longer. I'm really excited for 2019. It's been a great. This is now the 8th episode. I'm super chuffed. I'm excited for more great conversations, I should say. I'm looking forward to getting more people in here, not just the pros, but the regular guys who have something to say. I'm super excited, and thank you all. But enough of me rambling on. Let's get Richard Saxton on here and hear what he has to say. So, hey, what's up, Richard? How are you?
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
No, thank you. Thank you. And I kind of bragged about this and I said, the king has arrived. So if you guys don't know who Richard Saxton is, he's called the king for a reason. We're going to touch on that in a bit. But he's the king of Nitro RC.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Just been doing it a long time and had my fair success. And now I'm passing that on to some of the other guys if there's anything for them to learn, and hopefully they can.
Yeah, just to clarify, you've been into RC for about 25, 26 years, correct?
Yeah, around there. Long time. Old fart.
Yeah. I'm going to be a bit of a fanboy, but I actually met you, I would say 2004 in Charlotte. at
Okay.
because I'm from Bermuda originally. So I was
Right.
there with the Bermuda guys, and it was the Nitro Fest at Lance Norrick's house when he had it at his house.
Yeah.
Not at his not the farm too where he had the
Yeah.
worlds.
Yeah. At the house. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember
So
with
we
the
got
goats and everything. It was
oh
awesome.
yeah. We guys actually ended up hanging out that night. It was me, you, Mika, and a whole bunch of other Bermudian guys. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Wild bunch.
Yeah. We was kind of we was young and it didn't matter back then.
Yeah.
But that was when my first ever big race. So I was kind of like starstruck by a lot of people, and you just happened to I was like, hey, there's Richard Saxton out having just chilling, having a drink. Let's go have one with him. So we ended up hanging out. So that's my
Of course.
that's my fanboyism for that. So, but once again, welcome to the No Name RC podcast. All right, let's get straight into it. A lot of people know your background and. I don't think we really have to go in that, but let's talk a little bit about the good old days. Like, how did the King nickname come about?
Well, I raced motocross when I was young, and I excelled in they call it the Pee Wee class, 50cc class, and I guess I won a lot doing that. And then I don't know. I'm thinking Richard Petty was pretty big back then, so that's how I got the nickname. And somehow it just stuck around. And it's funny, Brent and I were mountain biking today, and one of my buddies, we ran into him on the trail, and he's like, yeah, King Richard. So yeah, it's old school. And I guess I did pretty good there, and then just kind of carried over.
Do you like being called that, or does it kind of like, do you?
I'll go with what Cavallari calls me, King Dingaling.
Oh man, don't say that.
So no, I'm all right with it. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call me. I think Spencer calls me Rich Turd, and who knows? There's a ton of nicknames out there.
But that's all in banter in the pits, though. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Good times.
So then you went from motocross. I believe you kind of started in RC late, though. I would say compared to everybody else. Well, how old was you when you started getting into RC seriously?
Yeah, I want to say I was around 19 or 20 to start doing it seriously, and I took it up as a hobby. My buddy worked for American Suzuki, Tony Berluti, brought home a Losi, and we played in his backyard, berm shot off of a door we had in his backyard, set up a track, and started playing from there. And I hurt my knee racing moto, so Mickey Thompson came to Vegas, and they had Norca did these little small events, went out there and played around. And actually, I think that might have been one of the first times I met Regan LeBlanc. Maybe I met him before then, actually, but that's what pops up to my mind. And him and I created a friendship, and man, he was a big asset in my program for sure.
Yeah, he Regan LeBlanc, correct? He was like the world's best ever pitman, I believe.
Yeah, no, he is awesome. He did really good.
Yeah.
And we worked together good, and we had fun. A lot of good memories.
You said Tony Berluti. He's in motocross, correct?
Yeah. This last year, he worked for Smart Tops Bullfrogs with Justin Brayton.
Okay.
And they won Daytona Supercross. Together. So
I listened to the Steve Mathis show, and he was on there the other day, so that's why it popped in my mind. That's another thing I think is that it's subject for later, but motocross is such a crossover to RC. I'm surprised you don't have more motocross guys racing. So
I think there's quite a few, actually. If you go over to OCRC, you got Christian Craig there. He's running around, and then there's a lot of moto crossover for sure.
Well, I think we need to tap into that demographic in the just like in the regular guys that run moto as well, because I think it's really good for RC as well.
Yeah, I do too.
So you pretty much started out in gas truck, and that's where you kind of made your name. I mean, even Dagani says like you kind of made 8-scale buggy famous. So you started out with gas truck, and that was when it was the premier class. I had T-Bo on her the other day, and he was talking about how gas truck was the premier class, and he had to race against you guys when he was really young. Let's talk about those days, the gas truck days.
Yeah, no, I was fortunate enough to be with Team Associated, and they built one of the better gas trucks, and our program was pretty serious. We had Curtis Hustings doing the motors, and it just seemed like our truck and our preparation was pretty on point, as well as Mark Pavitas and Tebow and Billy Easton, and it just goes on. Matt Francis at the time, and so we had some pretty studly drivers at that point, and just clicked. And I think it clicked for me a little more because it was kind of moto-ishy style, the way the tracks were and stuff back then, and it just seemed to click. And like I said, with Regan being my mechanic, I had a dialed program.
Yeah. Do you think gas truck would ever make a comeback nowadays, or it's just too hard for people to do?
No, because the tracks aren't specific enough for 10-scale trucks. The funny thing is Chad Bradley, how you were talking about Tebow saying the premier class, he was running 8-scale, and he said, I use my 8-scale to stay sharp for 10-scale.
Really?
So, yeah, back in the day, when it was just kind of a joke, and he's, every time I see him, we always laugh about that. But no, I think 8-scale, it's a little bit expensive, but bang for the buck, it's pretty dialed. I mean, the cars are so reliable now. The motors are pretty easy to tune. I just don't see why you'd want to go back to a 2-wheel drive loose car. I think it's kind of cool, but no, I don't see a big resurgence of 10-scale gas truck.
Yeah, I don't think drivers nowadays could handle it, man, to be honest. But I mean, just the regular guys coming in, it's not easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
maybe on these high bike tracks too. And they might be really fast on these high bike tracks. So
yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. And then if somebody made a 2-wheel drive truck, then the next thing they'd have a 4-wheel drive truck that's gas. So
more classes.
I think 8-scale is the perfect size, and it's just not broken. So 8-scale buggy is perfect.
Nitro is the glory. That is what I say. So how did the transition come from gas truck being the premier class to 8-scale nitro buggy? How did that happen?
I want to give OFNA a lot of credit there. I think they came in and did RTRs with being a practical price point for RTR. And, I was running for Associated, and we were getting ready to do the GT2. And I'm like, guys, why are you coming out with gas truck is dying, at that point. But long story short, just 4-wheel drive, more power. It just seems to be better. That's that was the tipping point. It just seemed that everything became a little less expensive. So I think that's what helped the class mature. And in Europe, I mean, I did my first Worlds in Portugal, and just 8-scale nitro off-road is around the world. I just saw where Robert Battier was in India, Mumbai, India, racing. So that was kind of cool. So I think for being the biggest class worldwide, 8-scale is where it's at.
Yeah, I would not disagree with you there. I fell in love with nitro like as soon as I saw it. Like, you used to race with electric cars, and we used to see nitro boats go. But once I saw a nitro buggy, I was like, I gotta have one of those. Just got to.
Yeah, no, they're awesome, and it takes a little bit of a team effort to kind of do it, which I think people like. So you're going to have a pit guy. And so it creates more of a buddy system, or even more of a family system, with the dad and the mechanics and all that. It's just, it's a cool environment for sure. It's definitely cool.
At what time would you say that it actually started to transfer over? Like at what year? And what tracks was you guys running at? Was you still running at the same 10-scale tracks?
Yeah, we were still running at the same. I remember kind of Brent and I GT2 at the Nitro Pit, and I think that was the last year they had it at the DNC. I would be lying if I tried to throw out a date, and it was like, okay, that's it. It's done. So I don't even think I raced it back then. So that was oh man, it would be like right when the RC8 was coming out. So yeah, I would be bad with dates. A long time ago.
Yeah. But I didn't. This is something I didn't know. Actually, Joseph told me about this. The 10K SH engine win. What's that about?
At our nationals in Pleasant Hill, Missouri, SH had put out a full ad. If you won a national title with an SH motor, so they made it pretty vague. And they were doing a truck class there. So I kind of told Regan, I'm like, hey, we can take one of the Thunder Tigers and convert it over to a truck. Well, we went to a hobby town in Missouri, bought some Parma body posts, drilled some holes, mounted a body on. O'Donnell had gone through the SH and just kind of double checked it. But the bad thing was the gearing. We didn't have a big enough spur for the rollout. So long story short, it was funny. And Greg has mentioned it where everybody was rooting against me not to win. But I was laughing up there. We were just having a good time. And it was all in good fun. And so Henry from SH had to pay me 10 grand. So that was and then I ended up winning gas truck. TQ and winning gas truck. That was a good weekend. That was fun.
I would say so. So around this time, you was also working with O'Donnell, and this is about time when the O'Donnell cooling heads were coming out. I mean, nobody could get them. Like, they were so hard to get.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Just
well, before then, I was running for Ron Paris, and man, he did an awesome job. I was running Pico Paris, and my first Worlds, I made the main with Ron's stuff, and he had been an associated guy forever. And I think he kind of gravitated a little more towards on-road, and O'Donnell was more off, and Pavitas was running for O'Donnell, and then I met Steve and we kind of hit it off, and just a good pairing. He took over the tint scale motor program from Curtis Hustings, which I'm sure Curtis liked, which Curtis Hustings is Gene Hustings' son, one of the owners of Associated. And then O'Donnell had created a relationship with RB, Rody Romes, and we were on our way. We had some ballistic power. Yeah. And Steve made some pipes, and man, just good times. Great guy. Great work ethic. Anything I ever needed, it was on point. He'd go to races and stuff, and we all had a good time.
Was the O'Donnell heads just for looks, or did they actually make a difference? Because I think I got one, but it was so later on in RC that nobody was even running them anymore.
Man, it's kind of like in motorcycles back in the day when my brother ran an air-cooled YZ80. They had DG heads, a Porky. Did it make a difference? Well, it did, because it was heavy, so it might have created a little more grip, and then it had more surface area, so it definitely probably cooled the engine down. So it didn't hurt anything for sure, and it looked trick. It's always worth a tenth to look cool. Oh yeah, you
didn't have one of those. You weren't in the in crowd. Did you?
No.
Did you work with Tiba at all while he was at O'Donnell?
Not with the O'Donnell buggy, but I was around when Jared started, and it's the great ones. I don't want to say the great. What the great ones, they just come onto the scene and just explode. If that makes any sense. Jared was 13 years old. I heard about this kid, and then I got to see him, and then he has the it.
Oh, really?
And the it is in only a few drivers. So. It was awesome. Him and his dad together made a great team. They actually improved our platform, tested, and he's one of the greatest gas truck drivers ever.
Yeah,
for sure.
He So as soon as you saw him, you pretty much knew he was just, this kid's gonna do, he's got it, like you said, he's got the glow, he's got the flow.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And just good people, good kid, good. I should say grown man now. He has kids, so that's good times.
Did you see that in Cavallari and Mayfield as well?
Pudge is 14 years old, winning world championships. Mayfield is winning nationals. Spencer would be another one that just kind of has that it quality. Dakota Finn, Robert Battier, Ronafalk, Ungaro.
All the top guys.
Jona Hotinen has some of it, even Savoyard. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but there's just these special ones that come along that would be equivalent to a Valentino Rossi or a Ricky Carmichael or Jimmy Johnson, along those lines.
That's pretty cool because you've gotten to see them all come up. So
it's pretty awesome and pretty fortunate to learn and work with them. Billy Easton. He's awesome.
Yep.
Did a great job for Associated, and he's the work ethic guy. I'm not going to say he didn't have it because he's a world championship, but he put in the time and the effort at the track to kind of hone his skills.
Man, he almost made the world finals at 42 years of age. That's impressive. That's super impressive.
He's good. He's awesome, and he's into it and still loves it. You got to have that love for doing it, and he has it. And I talk with Billy regularly, and it's definitely a pleasure to have him as a friend.
Yeah, and he must be a vampire because he never ages. He looks the same as he did 20 years ago. Good living, I guess.
He's in shape.
Yeah. So let's move on to I think this is probably your closest you ever come to winning the world. You TQ'd it down there in Uruguay in 2002, and you forgot to pit. Or that's the story that I keep hearing. Is that true?
Yeah. No, it's unfortunate. I learned a lesson. The Uruguay, or Portugal or Uruguay? Yes, sorry, Uruguay. The track was really long, and I had brought my own pit guy with me, Kenny, and he did an awesome job the whole weekend. And then Marty Korn, I got him to help out as well. And the one thing I can say that I shouldn't have said was I told Marty, let Kenny do all the talking. And the negative was I told Kenny exactly where I wanted him to tell me to come in, and he did it. It was on point. The bad thing is the lap times, I don't really know. I want to say they are almost 40 seconds, if not longer. Where I told him to call me in was too far away from the pit lane.
Oh, wow.
And I had Pagani catching me. And so I missed that lap. And that wasn't that bad because I was pitting rather early. And I wish Kenny, he's like, Richard's making a call to go longer. Well, Richard's a dumb shit and doesn't know what he's doing and nervous. And long story short, I came around again and I see Dagani peel off and I knew he ran longer than me. I'm like, you guys didn't pit me. And they were saying that they had called me in. So I got to the end of the straightaway and ran out of gas.
Wow.
So that was a lesson to be learned at the wrong time where, you need to have your pit guy call you in within 10 seconds, 5 seconds of pit lane. So, there's a lot going on. I was too focused on racing and I know he called me in.
It happens though.
Yeah. It was the wrong time. And, it is what it is. I definitely shed some tears after that race, but Chad Bradley was out there winning the thing and his pipe broke.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So it's just racing, man. And when you don't get very many opportunities like that to win one.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. And, that was what kind of made it cool with Ungaro is I've never been with a program that's won a world champ. I mean, I won a world championship with Pavitas running 4-wheel drive, but I was more of a nitro guy, and I never had the chance. One of the regrets is I wasn't smart enough to help out Mayfield or Cavallari more to get them their world championship in 8 scale, because they definitely had the skill. In Charlotte, they started first and second, and I would say Mayfield was a little too lean, and the Reedy motor, I wouldn't say it wasn't sufficient, because it qualified first in the worlds in 30 minutes. So, and then Cavallari has brakes. So, that's probably one of my major regrets, is not having enough brain power to give them better cars to do better. But
still time.
It's really difficult.
Yeah, what about you though? What after the 2002 Worlds? What was probably your closest that you come after that? Do you think?
Well, I held the Vegas Worlds, and I was actually leading my semi with my Thunder Tiger car. Or wait, that was in between. Or no, that was after. And long story short, I was leading my semi, crashed on the middle straightaway, and there was a button head holding the shock on. You don't want a button head holding your front shock on. You want a socket head. It just sheared the button head off. I mean, the track was pretty gnarly. Yep. And so I've only made 2 world championships. I made my first one, and then the second one was in Portugal.
Okay.
Or Uruguay, sorry.
Uruguay.
And then Vegas, I was leading a semi and had some bad luck. And then after that, Sweden. Yeah, I had
Sweden
some
was
tank
gnarly.
issues. Yeah, no, I mean, talk about a bad luck. I left out one of the guys that had it was Yannick. I mean, holy smokes, he's awesome. I think he's one of the greats. In 8 scale, you've got Tessman and Mayfield and Yannick, and going back Pavitas. They're the greats. But Yannick, what a sad situation. I think he had 2 world championships he could have won.
Yeah.
One of them he didn't get to start because he was disqualified out of a semi, and it's just like, man.
It was point something of a CC over. I can't remember. It was so close.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories, and I've never really talked to him about it. And he's one of those super nice guys, and still goes good to this day. But yeah, that's racing, man. That's why there's rules. It's pretty awesome.
Exactly. Speaking of the 2000 Worlds, the track that you built, which was pretty gnarly, because you guys, I remember you had this 3-story scaffolding stand.
4 stories.
4 story.
40 feet high. Yeah, there was 10 feet too high. I could have saved a lot of money with
No way. The guy said the cars looked like specks, like they were so small, and it had like it was swaying back and forth. It was crazy. Tell us about that.
It was gnarly.
I think that's the first time they've ever really purposely built a track in America. That's the first time I had seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I mean, there's been maybe not to that scale. I mean, that was a 200 by 200 footprint. Had dirt brought in. It was a huge undertaking, and without Jim McKenna, he was the driving force behind it. When I was in my first Worlds, Phil Hurd, they have Phil Hurd Raceway.
Yes.
That was the Roar president at the time, just a good old guy, super nice. And he's like, Saxton, we need to have the Worlds in Vegas. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I knew plenty of people, and, with my family's construction business, and then my mom running a motocross track and all that stuff. Like, all right, we'll do it. And, where the Silverton is now, that used to be the Boomtown or something. Anyways, we used their parking lot and brought over the BRCA crew, and spent a lot of money, but put on a good event. There's a couple things I would have done different, but for doing it for the first time, a lot of people said they had a good time, and it was good.
What would you have?
I did awesome. I said it was Richard's Worlds. But,
really?
He went out and won. He did awesome, man.
Yeah.
He drove awesome, and the trophy was really small. I've gotten a lot of flack over that, but it was expensive. It's small, but I'm sure it sits on his office desk, and which is cool. I have one trophy to my name and it's just a World's TQ Cup, and it's small.
Yeah. What regrets did you have? What would you have done different for that Worlds besides the driver's stand?
Well, I let my buddy Toby, who had the best intentions, and we talked about, we built these 3 huge jumps on the far right. That was the only negative with the track, and that was the negative. So that could have been a tabletop, would have been fine, or even a straightaway. That was the negative with the track. The track got rough, but everybody, I think, kind of enjoyed it. And the next thing would be lowering the driver's stand down 10 feet. So those were the 2 things. Other than that, I thought for a one-time off deal, I think it went pretty good. I mean, you would have to ask a lot of people that were there. I thought it was pretty good.
Did you lose money, or did you make it, or did you break even doing it?
I ended up losing money, but it wasn't that bad. You know, it was like $6,000. I want to say the final total for putting on the event, I always say it was 90,000. I raised 84, so it was a lot. I mean, but that's when the industry was doing good. We had the pre-worlds, and it was, you know, we had GRP, Medial Pro, GS, you know, all these companies, and they were throwing in good money, which one of the negative was I wish I would have used that money and built a permanent facility for Vegas, you know, over at the Silver Bowl. I think that money could have been used. But, yeah, the one-off thing, I was thinking, you know, it'd be the most fair for everybody, you know, at a Worlds event. And, yeah, no, it went good. I just wish maybe the money could have been used for a permanent facility.
Right. And what about any good memories from that race? What stands out besides Kanai winning? Besides you, okay, that wasn't a good memory, but what was something funny you remember from that probably stands out in your mind?
Oh man, it was just a lot of work. It was tough. You know, the funny thing was the driver's stand. Barry Baker was our awards presentator, and everybody was buying him shots, and he didn't make it through all the presentation. Right. He got a little lit up. So the good memory was I'm 99.9% sure everybody had a good time, and that's what it's about at the end.
At the end of the day, yeah, it was, and that was the first time America held the Worlds, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I was in RC back then, so I remember it. I remember, like, I think we watched it on some DVD or found it somewhere.
Well, Gene Hustings did it. And yeah, we had a bunch of seats. I don't know what the head count was. So the viewing was good. The hotel was sold out. They were happy about that. So I think that's what's kind of cool is, you know, if you can have an RC car race and then all the competitors are in the same hotel, I think that makes it a little, to me, it makes it funner, you know, because you can meet your friends down at the bar and talk about racing and all that. This last year was pretty cool. We did an Airbnb over in Australia, and that was a different dynamic for sure. It was, we needed to take video of that, but it was a good time. We had Spencer and Ronnie Rifkin, Brent, myself, and Lou Dog in a house, and it was definitely fun.
Oh, I bet. Joseph says the same thing. I think he was talking about and Mick Craddock said it at the Argentinian Worlds.
Right. So, Perfect.
Yeah, they said the exact same thing. Everybody was staying with each other, so they had fun. And people have to realize, yes, you guys are racing, but you're still there to have, you know, you got to enjoy yourself too.
Yeah. I in Australia, there's very few races I go to that I ever have a bad experience. I couldn't even really think of one, you know. But definitely staying at the same hotel and getting to see, you know, a lot of, I mean, you have a lot of friends, a lot of friends.
Yeah, I still talk to guys that I met like almost 20 years ago in RC. You know?
For sure.
And
for sure.
And they were
like the Wheelers, you know, I mean, they're good people, good family, and they, you know, you just want to see and hang out with them, or Mick Craddock, you know, so that's definitely with Australia. Everybody was a little bit separated. Even in our own team, it was difficult. We didn't even really have a team dinner. Like we had McBride staying somewhere else, and then the Angaros, and I'm like, oh man, we got to hook up and do a dinner, but it just never really materialized. I mean, you're at the track all day and then you get up and you want to go do your own thing for a little bit. So that was kind of hurting on our part that we didn't make that materialize, but yeah.
Speaking of guys that had the flow or the it, I think Josh Wheeler was one of those guys. He was
no, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, he could probably come back out and race and still be competitive if he just came out and practiced a little bit for DNC. He could probably still do really well.
Yeah, he's like a Carson Warnemont.
Yeah.
That same style.
Another person.
Really smooth and fluid and really great style.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on to, because a lot of people may not know that you actually had a tire company called Treads Tires. I actually remember these too. They had I want to say, oh man, was it one called the Grips or something like that?
Yeah, we had Grips and Atomics and all sorts of stuff. It was a collaboration with GRP and just a lot of work. You try to get into it, and I think they made really good product. They were first to market, or one of the first to do the pre-mounted tires, which was cheating. The quality of the pre-mounts. I mean, the whole time I was with them, I've never had a tire come unmounted. And then being young and dumb and not really having somebody to kind of look over my stuff, I didn't have a contract with them, and Trinity came in and kind of they people think you're making big money, but you're kind of struggling. I borrowed money from my own family, and then I paired up with HRP Distributing, and they kind of took over the line. I was working with them, and so I had an outlet, and they were able to purchase more. And they kind of got hosed on the deal worse than I did, because there was no agreement between GRP and myself, and they went with Trinity. And I mean, I still am friendly with Stefano and his kids and stuff. And I don't know, just if you're going to go into business, make sure you have somebody professional look over all your stuff. That's
good
all
advice.
I can say.
Good advice. So that lasted for about how long would you say you did?
I want to say 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And the stuff looked really good. They needed to work a little bit on their compounds, but yeah, I went over and saw their facility and stuff, and it was top notch.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They're still making tires, correct?
Yeah, I think they're mainly doing 5th scale stuff. I don't know what capacity for 8 scale, but I know their factory had burnt down or something to that effect, and that really hampered them. But yeah, their quality was top notch.
Okay, cool. But that's a lesson for people. Always get somebody to look at.
Always you gotta get somebody smarter than yourself.
Cover your ass. I learned that.
Yeah,
I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah, that was being too trustworthy, but oh well, that's a life lesson.
Yeah, if you don't learn from it, then I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's move on to this. I think this is, I remember this because this is when I was really deep into RC. I was traveling to America a lot. This is starting grid days, and we were waiting for your Thunder Tiger car to come out. I remember it took a while, and everybody was waiting for it, and a whole bunch of guys were excited. And when it came out, it was very innovative. It had the shocks going through the arms, and the front shocks going through the front arms, the tube chassis. I can't remember what else it had, but tell us about that.
Extruded chassis.
Yeah.
No, Royce Lynn. The funny story is I had TQ'd the Worlds and ran good at the Worlds, and Thunder Tiger, I went to work for them. That was my second go around with them. And I went over to Taiwan. I'm like, here's the car that I just TQ'd the Worlds with, and left it there. And then I came back about 6 months later, and the thing was pieced out and gone. So my Worlds car is like gone. And then they show me this other car, and it's like, okay, well, why'd you have to take apart my car? Because it looks nothing like this. And yeah, that was definitely a learning curve. It had some unique ideas with the extruded chassis, the front shock through the upper arm, and the suspension mounts were separate from the transmission case, which is pretty cool, but then it's a pain to work on. I went out and tested it in Taiwan, and I thought it was pretty darn good. Honestly, I don't think I had the brain power to kind of dissect everything that needed to be done. So, when you go back home and then you start on your own and you're out there by yourself, you're kind of like looking at other things and, oh, this is wrong, this isn't right. And you're working with Alex LaFranchi. He's driving the car and giving his input, and it's just really difficult, man. If you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle working properly, that's difficult. I mean, that comes down to the motor, the tire, the clutch springs. That's what I'm getting at. I think the design was pretty cool. The extruded chassis was maybe a little bit too much of a stretch on the way that it attached, and then it was milled out and it would crack. So it was definitely interesting. I mean, Mayfield ran it, and we had to do a lot of modifying to it, and he hauled ass with it.
Yeah. What was the reasoning for the shocks going through the arms?
I think, honestly, I couldn't tell you I mean, maybe you would think it might make the arm a little stiffer with it being that way, but to be honest, I'm going to say just to be different. Sometimes you do stuff to be different, and that's not the right way.
Mm-hmm. Do you think...
I especially nowadays, the way the class is pretty mature and it's expensive for molds and stuff, you can look, there's... the Kaiosho car is a pretty sound platform, and I think the guys go fast with it, and you're always learning something new. It's funny. A lot of our team guys are like, "Oh, are we getting a new car this coming year?" And it's like, well, we're always working on new product, but have you maxed out this platform to where you need a new car? I mean, I look at stuff and it's really hard to think of anything that we would really need to do right now. I think the car is pretty darn sound and pretty reliable. I think going out, putting the time in and figuring out what works for you.
Exactly. And people don't understand how much a mold change costs. It's ridiculously expensive. To do something like that. It's not just something you do like, okay, this doesn't work. I mean, it's crazy. So I think what you're saying.
I mean, look at Joseph. He's the perfect example. And Billy Easton, I'd put him in the same category. They're out there running their product and trying to figure it out. I mean, what works on paper doesn't actually work out on the track. So it's like, Joseph's been doing it hardcore for a long time. And, I know that Cavallari has driven his car before and said, man, it goes around the track pretty good. Yeah. So
he was super excited about that too. It made his day.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool for him. And
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. So it's like, I got a lot of respect, even Adam Drake, he does a good job, a lot of work. Billy and those guys, they're out there putting the time in. So,
yep. I agree, man. People think it's just, you just do this, you draw it up and you send it off and it works. No, it's a lot of testing. If Joseph says to me, hey, I've tried this, it doesn't work, I believe him because I know he's tried it.
Yeah. And it's funny. I look at Joseph's post on Facebook, or if Billy or somebody, and I just kind of like to listen to what they say, and if I see something that resonates, and I go, okay, maybe I'll try that for my own program, or tell Spencer, or bounce something. That's how things evolve.
Pretty much.
You learn from other people.
Yep, I agree. So from Thunder after the let's say. Can we say that the Thunder Tiger car wasn't a complete success?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a success. I mean, Mayfield won a Roar national title with it.
Okay. Well, it wasn't a complete failure, but I mean, it didn't.
Yeah. No, I think we did some good things with the hobby shops and stuff like that back in the day. It's funny, Kendall Bennett, the owner of A-Main Hobby,
I remember that.
ran for Thunder Tiger, and he always, I did the shop thing back in the day where if you worked at a hobby shop, we'd be interested in sponsoring you, and that had some traction, but then the car had its own little boogers in it, and there's just too many good choices out there nowadays, and if something's not right, the consumer is going to post it online, and man, that can really hurt you.
Yeah, I remember when Kendall, I had met Kendall at 2005 Silver State. I think he was still operating out of his garage. I think so. I'm not sure.
Probably.
And I think you had just given him a new chassis for that, and he was dremeling it away and telling me about it. And that's like,
Titan Tech, Raul made some cool looking chassis for that thing. It was awesome looking.
Well, that was the good old times too. I don't think we'll ever get back to those Nitro days. They were really good. Let's move on to your job at AE. How did that come about after Thunder Tiger?
Well, Thunder Tiger and AE have a collaboration, that started a long time ago. And so that was just an easy one. They got done with the 8-scale program, and AE was starting up their program and thought that I could be of some assistance. We had Torrance de Guzman, who is the Hot Bodies designer now. He drew up the car, and we had a good time with him. I saw the first drawing of the RC8, and they showed me the underside of it, and Torrance was kind of a 10-scale guy, and he wanted to do some things different, and he had I'm just gonna go way out on a limb. Say it had 1,000 3mm countersunk screws on the bottom of the chassis, and when I saw it, I'm like, I'm gonna get carpal tunnel syndrome just looking at the computer screen. So, we had him, and he did a good job and drew up the car, and even AE had a little bit of a growing pains with the first car.
I remember that.
And so, it's just the way it is. Nowadays, it's pretty awesome. You just get a kit and build it. But, yeah.
People don't remember that. Hey, I get that a lot. They don't remember back in the day when you had to Dremel this and do that and make this fit and polish shock shafts and, all that stuff, all that fun stuff. So we have it so easy nowadays.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a bonus. Our last car, Dino Dan, he did a lot of work on it. And then we have TJ Eller. The main engineer was Bob Stelflube, and he knocked it out of the park. He did a great job with the car. So that was just awesome. So it made a great foundation to work on, and he had some great ideas.
Yep. That's how things happen. I think you guys have a great platform. You're world champions now. Not too many people can say that. So I forgot to say congratulations to you guys, to you as well.
I did nothing. I got to watch a program that was pretty intact and ready, tuned to kill.
Yeah. So let's talk about your life today. Your actual job title at Associated is?
I call myself an A to Z guy. I do a little bit of everything. I can do some customer service, do some repairs. If TJ's looking to do something with the 8-scale car, I give a little bit of input there. Drive the truck, set up the tents. I can also be a pit guy. So a little bit of everything. I'm the jack of all trades.
Do you, so you work a lot with, obviously you work a lot with Rivkin. You work a lot with a lot of people. Do you help them with their mental approach, their strategy, their setup, obviously, but do they listen to you? Do they take your advice? I mean, I know it's difficult.
Well, it's really difficult. Like I think I have a good eye, as any pit guy would. I can watch the car and I could tell Cav it's loose here, or, you know, I can tell them what they're feeling, and then solving that problem, I can give a little bit of input, but yeah, that it's really, I think it falls on the driver's side. You know, with Spencer, I give him input and I can tell him what he's feeling, and maybe some little bit, I get a little more nervous with input. Just fine tuning what he's got going on. It's like, that's the wrong time to be doing wholesale changes is at the Worlds. You know, the Worlds is a bad example because we had a lot of practice, which was nice, you know, for some of us. And so they got to try out a few setups, but for Cav and Spencer, they just went back to their normal setup. Spencer went back to his Florida National setup that he got second with this year. And then he just felt comfortable. That's what worked for him and his tires and his motor, and that's what he liked. And he really excelled once he got into a groove. Spencer on the mental side, little immature, a little bit too much seeing what everybody else is doing. When in my reality, he's more of the guy that other people should be looking at what he's doing. So a little immature, talented beyond all belief. So on the mental side, I try to keep him calm. He has got a ball of energy.
Yeah.
Him and his
He's
dad
young,
at the Worlds in Australia, they're out in the rental car 20 minutes before we're supposed to leave. You know, Brent sets a time when we're supposed to leave. Let's say it's 9:00, and they're in the car at 8:40, ready to go to the track, and they're not up till 2 p.m. So
yeah.
With Spencer, it's controlling a little bit of the anxiety. I don't know I don't know where it comes from, but he's getting better at it for sure.
I think it comes with age. He's getting older now.
Well, it's just different and different. I mean, the Italian kid is 18, 17, and honestly, he's strong as a bull mentally, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with cultures as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because
I mean,
I look at Max that races for us, and he's in his mind and his mindset is way further more than. Is way more. I feel a bit more advanced than a lot of normal kids that I know his age. You know, I can sit off and talk.
I mean, the same goes with Jona Hottinen. Him and Max are in the same country, and I work with Jona over at the Euros. And you know, it's funny talking about Max and him. They're in the same quarters or whatever to get into a semi racing each other. So that was kind of funny. And you know, Jona is he is strong, but I need to see a little more desire out of him, if that makes sense. And it's crazy because I say his dad wasn't there this year, and so it was just him and I together. And so, you know, I had to say, hey, you got to get your tires, get them prepped. You know, I look at everything. I look at the program from start to finish. I brought over a car. I want you to put out the most effort that I'm doing. And with him, there was a little bit of effort lacking at the beginning, and then towards the end, he started getting faster and faster. Well, him and Max kind of messed up. They were both in a transfer spot, and I forget the kid's name, a Nordic driver as well.
I think it was Pell.
Helm.
Pell Komse. He's from from Denmark.
Super good driver, but it was those three young guys together going for 2 spots, and Jona got the short end of the stick. And you know, I come back and Jona's crying in the pits, which I like that. I'm all for that. You know, that means that he has the passion for it. But I would rather see a lot more put into doing the tires and all that, because just. He has the skill. If I would have gave him a better car, for sure, he can make a semi. The kid's super talented.
Oh yeah, he is. And back to Rivkin, I kind of like how Rivkin's getting now. I think this is I was talking about it with Joseph the other day, is that I kind of feel like that Spencer was kind of, I like to say, the Padawan or in the shadows of Mayfield and Cavallari. And he's kind of forced his way out of that. And I like that. Instead of hanging back and just be like wanting to be hanging around those guys. And I like to say he went from being a fanboy, and he was always fast, but he went from being a fanboy, but like a Padawan, to being a champion. And he kind of did it his way. And he's still got a lot more years left.
Yeah. And he's got a lot of room to grow. I mean, he used those two guys. That's how, the same when you're talking about a chassis evolving, he is the chassis. I call him a sponge because he absorbs everything,
I hope to get him on this podcast. I talked to him at Fall Brawl, and that's exactly what I want to say to him. I said, man, you went from like, and I'm not saying he was like following those guys around, but you know what I mean? He was like, they're like little brother that was there, and they were showing him the ropes, and he kind of forced his way. I mean, he kind of got off a bad name on his way doing it, saying people were saying, oh, he hacked this person and hacked that, but that's racing, man. I love it. I mean, if you got to go for it sometimes.
No, he's a greedy driver, which I guess let's look at Lewis Hamilton and Vettel. And,
exactly.
I mean, those guys are the same way. Yes. I mean, they might have 6 or 7 more zeros behind their paychecks, but racing's racing. That's the way it goes, So Spencer is he's a sponge, has a big heart, and he gave 100% at the Worlds.
Yep.
So I was really disappointed because I know in my heart that had he made it into the main, it's all, it doesn't matter. It's all bullshit now, but I think he's a top 3 car.
Yeah.
My opinion. So
I'm pretty sure as he gets older and he's a force to be reckoned with now. So it's just a matter of, like you said, if he would have made the main, it would have been a whole different story. But
Yeah,
the
weird thing was, I went back and I watched all the video of, his semi and the last chance, and then I watched the main. And the weird thing to me was he kind of was holding up, third. He was holding up 4th, 5th, and 6th, and crashed, and then kind of let them separate. And then at the end of the race, with 5 minutes to go, Ty Tessman laps him, and then he's pushing Ty Tessman around the track, and it's like, with a tire coming unglued. So I don't know if he thinks too much when he's racing. That's a bad thing too. There's a lot of, sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself and it's a negative, but this is what he's going to have to work through. Nobody else can. I try to say very little to Spencer on the headset because it's other than pit or watch out or, take a deep breath, something very little. And, I know how pressure packed that is doing that semi. I've been there at that level, not the skill level that they are at. 'Cause when I was there, that definitely wasn't that level, but I've been there. And so I can know what's kind of going on and I can feel for him. At Vegas, I wasn't very happy because I thought he gave up. That's a no. You just go. You never give up in Nitro for the Vegas Worlds. This Worlds, he gave 100%, and it was almost maybe 101%, and it bit him. But he's going to learn from it, and he's got a good career ahead of him.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I used him as I called him the Lewis Hamilton or the James Hunt of RC. that's what I equate him to. How about Cav? How's working with him? Do you get to work with him much? Or
awesome. I mean, he is gnarly. I got to go to Psycho Nitro Blast. His dad couldn't make it, so I've had to fill in a couple times for wrenching. Funny side note there is Associated just sent myself and Cav to the race, and Spencer paid for his own way. I remember he said that. He said that, which is cool. That's awesome. That shows me the eye of the tiger. It's a World's year. Dagani and I, when we ran for Kaiosho together, we hit as many races as we could together, and that's how you get better. So Getting back to Cavalieri, the guy is gnarly. I mean, just always working on stuff, and it's like an honor to work with him. He's giving 100% on the track, and then off the track with tires and everything. Same with Spencer, but with Cav, he's just gnarly. He's gnarly, and I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, he's this or that," but no, Cav's top notch. Just and. To me, one of the greatest all times. 8 scale, he's still pretty damn good. But 10 scale, he's the awesome.
GOAT. I call him the GOAT. I think he's really great.
I would say he's a GOAT. He's right there.
I would say he's really good in 8 scale. It's funny because Joseph describes him as this. He says, I think Kev is probably one of the more professional drivers in the fact that he can take a car that's not 100% and still win with it or do well with it.
Yeah. And that's what the guys with it can do. They adapt to what they got, and they know what level to push the car that they have. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and then it's definitely not the best time in the pits. But hey, that's the good and the bad. Cav after the race, all I can say is good job. And he's like, man, I did my best. And I know that, I watched, and I know he's out there giving 100% because he wants to win, so, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Just
how many years do you think like him, Tebow and Mayfield have left to be really fast on the level that they're at now?
I think they're going to set the benchmark.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I think they can go on for a long time. It gets a little more difficult. They have a wife and kids, and I think it's all relative to how mentally strong they can be, but the skill level, I mean, Mayfield is just, it's awesome to watch him,
Yeah, he can.
He's just awesome to watch and smart, and he's awesome.
Yeah, he can make a mistake and just come back from it. It's like I watched him too, and he can make a mistake where like a normal person would just be like, that's their qualifier done. He can come back and still like that's where Mayfield's talent is. He's just like, he has the ability to be punched and more punched. And
he would be the James Stewart of RC cars.
Good analogy.
And then you would take the Tessmans, it would be the Dungey, which man, they're dialed. Their program is, I mean, yeah. The dad, the mom, Ty, they're good people, and they've been doing it a long time, and wherever they go, they've been a couple or switch teams, and boom, it took them a couple races to figure out their stuff, and then they're on point.
Yep.
There's nothing I look at that program and go, oh man, they need to tweak this or that. They did a good job, and Ty and his dad Gord went over to the Euros and really helped out Bruno. I got to put Bruno up there as one of the elites, man. I know I watched him last time I was at Neo Buggy, and he kind of struggled. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's just not an 8-scale driver. And then Gord and Ty went over and helped him at the Euros. And, he wasn't blazing fast. From their semi to the main, I think the Tessmans made some changes to the car and did some other things and really improved Bruno's package, and he just went out and drove the better race. Wasn't he was dialed,
and he was fast.
And then at the Worlds, man, he had caught and passed Ty and then had a flame out. So
that dude's fast.
He is definitely it.
And he can drive,
and nice as can be.
He can drive anything. That's what people don't realize. On road, 10 scale, 8 scale, off-road 10 scale, 8 scale. He's not that old. I don't think he's still is young.
No, he really impresses me. He's pretty awesome.
Well, Portugal has pushed out a couple of good drivers. Miguel Matias is one of them.
Miguel did awesome for Associated at the Euros. He was our second car in the main, and he's an older guy and did awesome. Awesome. That's
one guy Degani gives a lot of credit to, as well as you, because I'm going to touch on you guys' everlasting rivalry in a bit. But let's talk about Ungaro, man, real quick. You had a really good Facebook post about it. I think it's kind of died down, but people are still talking about it. I'm excited to see him come to DNC this year. They did really well. I mean, this kid's amazing, man. I don't care what anybody says. He's talented. He's putting in work, and he's the world champion now.
Yeah, I mean, he was ranked number 1 before the Worlds went off. The last 2 years since joining Associated, I don't think he's had really any races that have been bad. In my post, I went to Sweden and tried to help them out a little bit. I tried to give some input and here's some thin sway bars, try this, and the kid tests them. Oh yeah, this felt better. They got second there. The driver got second. The car was about a 12th place car, honestly. Really? I just call it as I see it. Mm-hmm. So he elevated us there and really impressed me there. And then I got to watch him do Neo Buggy and some of these, and then I got to go back to Portugal, and it was just a whole different setup. It just seemed they were just in tune from the get-go, and the skill. I talked to Spencer when I was in Portugal, and I go, "You're going to most likely be racing your teammate for a world championship." But I said, this guy's legit. He's out there catching Ronafalk and passing him in a qualifier and doing, putting 8 seconds on everybody. And in the end, he ended up getting second, which I think is a learning. He drove too hard at Portugal. He could have backed it down a little bit and let the race come to him once he had got up towards the front. So I think that was a progression in him maturing as a driver and learning. Also, his car, he has the setup that he has. He showed up to the Worlds and basically tuned diff oils and shock oil and then just drove his car and mounted a lot of tires. Yeah. I thought Spencer mounted a lot of tires. They put Spencer to shame.
Really?
So, yeah, that was interesting.
They put in the work. A really good race I saw this year was the Montpellier Race that they have. And I believe he came second, I think.
I think so, too.
But right. This is for the people that accuse him of having gyros and whatnot. I watched him battle with Ronafalk. First it was Boots, Ronafalk, and Battier. They were going at it. This race was the first big race in Europe of the year, and they were going at it. And he was battling. First it was him and Ronafalk. They pulled out, and Battier was in third. And then obviously Battier does that, what he does all the time. 30-minute mark, he starts creeping up, and next thing you know, they're battling. Ronafalk falls back, and then it's Ungaro and him battling until 45-minute mark, and then boom. Battier kind of pulled away. I think Ungaro's tires went. But here's my thing. If he's running a gyro, what everybody says, then he shouldn't be losing. He's losing races as well. I just think people need to get over it and just admit that he works hard. I hope he comes to DNC and does an awesome job. I'm really excited about that.
Well, this gyro bullshit. I mean, I was watching at DNC this last year when the Euros spanked the Americans at the DNC. Didn't Ronafalk win and Battier was second? Yep. They had us open the receiver boxes before the race. And then I have somebody down in pit lane telling me, they can turn a switch on their radio. And it's just you guys are so stupid. You just If you're telling me this, you shouldn't even be down in this pit lane because you don't know what you're looking at. So it's like, trust me when I say the kid does not have a gyro. You got Truey in after the Worlds looking at the radio, and Gord Tessman, and I mean, I was pretty disappointed that I saw that Mayfield, after the race, he's like, this is what I read on Red RC. I don't know if it was true, but it said, congratulations to Ungaro if it was clean. I mean, this is right after the race, so he had some doubt in his mind as well. Mm-hmm. You gotta trust somebody that's been doing it 25. That's the amazing thing to me is people don't watch this kid and go, this is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. There's no device that's going to make you super dialed like that. Let's put it that way. And I'm skilled. And Joseph hit the nail on the head when he filmed the kid's fingers in Portugal at the Euros and said, I found the gyro. It's in his thumbs. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was one of them guys who had heard it. I think the rumor started after the first after the 2016 Worlds. And then I heard rumbling about that. And then obviously at Neo when he dominated with just a centerpiece of the wing. I get why people think that, but I think if he had a gyro, he should be absolutely he shouldn't be losing races, and he should, unless he breaks, and he should be completely dominating these guys. And he's not, because these guys can still catch him and beat him.
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know what's going on in the world nowadays, but if you have a good story with a good family and all that, and you can't see the good out of it, I mean, I've seen posts that's why I usually don't write anything crazy on Facebook. I keep it pretty mellow, but I felt like I wanted to defend them a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's a great success story. The dad loved RC. His kid came along, kid took over, and they have a passion. And I've gone to dinner with them, and they go to dinner with all the Italians and the Euros, and Robert Battier is, I'm going to say, one of the biggest influencers in Ungaro's, upbringing, mm-hmm. Along with Mark Ibars from Pro Circuit. Mm-hmm. They kind of groom them for success. And, the only ones talking about effing gyros is the Americans, and it makes us look stupid. Let me ask you this. Do you think Jeffrey Hurlings has a gyro in his wrist or something?
No, of course not.
And guess what? Americans got smoked in motocross.
Yep, they did.
Smoked.
Yep.
At their own track. Mm-hmm. So, it sucks. I hated to see it. I could make excuses, the mud and this, but at the end of the day, they got smoked. They weren't the best. That
actually is perfect to lead into my next question, which I love this debate. European versus American racers today. What's your opinion?
Well, I'm going to say that they're pretty close. I mean, I would say 10 scale, you would give the Americans the nod. I mean, we're including Ty Tessman as an American, right?
Yes.
I kind of do. So I would say in 10 scale, the Americans have a little bit of a nod because that's kind of their bread and butter, and mm-hmm. that's what they race and specialize in. But I think that'll be getting more competitive as well. For Nitro, the Euros, that's their bread and butter is 1/8 scale. The mm-hmm. Americans are a little spoiled with the track prep and all that. So, that's got to be watered or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I would say the track in Australia was more of an American style track, to be honest.
Right.
But we had two guys in the top three. So I don't know how you want to look at it. And then you had Cav was 5th. Was Battier 4th? Or no.
Battier was
Ronafalk was 4th, mm-hmm. and then Cav. So top 5, we had 3 guys, mm-hmm. and then I
don't know. Yeah, it's close. It's going to be awesome at DNC, but to truly know that, we need to kind of have a series. But
That's probably the future of RC question. I think the Gandhi brings up a good point about corner speed at European tracks, and that's what helps them out a lot. And the American tracks are lacking the corner speed. It's a lot more point and shoot. And he says that jumps don't make you faster. It looks nice, but it doesn't make you faster. Would you say?
That is a pretty good point. Yeah. I mean, when I raced motocross, the races were won in the corners, so that's definitely a good. I mean, Greg's old and a little bit overweight, but he's smart, so yeah, I would tend to agree with what he's saying. Ours is more supercross. But like I said, Australia was pretty much supercross.
yeah. But I kind of, if we go back from the last World 2016, it was a Euro, 2 Euros. Then 2017 was Mayfield, and then Boots. DNC Neo 2017 was Ongaro. Then DNC 2018 was Ronafalk Badier. So I would give it to the upper hand to the Europeans right now on those races.
Yeah. The last 2 Worlds or Euros, and I mean, our guys are legit.
Oh, I agree. It's not any of them that can win. I just like the rivalry. I like it because the European guys.
Yeah, no, I do too. It makes it good for sure.
I remember like the Europeans were always more dominant back in the 90s and early 2000s. I wouldn't even say early 2000s, but 90s. And then like it was a patch like where the Americans came on and you couldn't catch them in 8 scale. And I think it's come around again. So
yeah,
I would say so
for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on real quick to the future of RC. Top level racing now versus then. What's your opinion?
It's just like anything in motorsports. I mean, you can look at F1. Everything evolves for the better. The tires create more grip, the motors more power, the run time, the radios, it's just every aspect is more professional, and the competition is a lot closer and the skill level is through the roof. It's really difficult. I mean, I thought my strength was I was pretty consistent and could run long mains without crashing. And honestly, back in my day, if you finished, you had a good chance of being top 5, so it's just the level is awesome. Yeah. I mean, the CJ Jelen kid, he's friggin' fast. But watching Ungaro go around the track, even I was watching Mayfield in Australia during the practice, and it's like, wow, he's on point. When he's on point, he's hard to beat. So they're just the things they do. The one thing with the Ungaro kid is his jumping ability. It is superior. It's nuts. He scrubs like if you were at the Worlds, there's that center triple, kind of before the timing loop, and I was racing as well, and it's like I was happy to clear it. This kid is downsiding it. And there, in the takeoff at that triple, there was 3 different levels. If you were to the far left, you're going up way high. If you're in the middle, you were scrubbing a little bit. If you're on the far right, you needed to be wooded. Well, he was on the far right, and he would turn going off the face and kind of scrub the car, and it's just next level. Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing.
He's all those guys. Their jumping ability is just awesome, and their car control and their reflexes. It's amazing.
Yeah. Back in my day, I was happy if I could just turn the wheels before I crashed, like in the air.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, I thought I was pretty good, but these guys are they're just awesome to watch. So that's why I think it could be a spectator sport.
Oh, yes, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. The hobby now versus then, bigger or smaller, more fun, less fun. What do you think?
Hobby size, I mean, I would if I was to go off entries, I would say 8 scales a little bit or maybe a lot bigger. I mean, they're having to for the IFMAR Worlds, I think it's 230 entries, or say it's honestly too many people at the race. The scrubs like myself and the other guys should probably not be racing, but I mean, you got to have those guys in there because they want to be there.
Yep.
That's awesome. So I don't know what to say. The Worlds program a little bit too long for sure. 8 scale seems to be bigger. We just need to grow the hobby more. Let's put it that way.
I totally agree. Which leads into our next question, which kind of ties into the Spectator Sport. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of RCGP. Do you think a series like this can benefit RC?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the promo video. Is it Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
The guy. Yeah, awesome. Everything he touched on, I was for. And it was funny at lunch today. I was discussing it with one of my bosses, and I said, man, hopefully they can get this thing to go. I don't know much about the entries for the teams and all that, so I don't know the breakdown of all that, but I think it's something everybody should support. It sounds awesome. I mean, I did RC Pro Series and kind of had a little bit of traction, but it's just a huge undertaking, and
it's
all the companies need to work together. That's Matt's hitting right on the head, and 8 scale has mechanics, and there are stories behind the stories. And that's why we're doing this right now. So to me, I'm on board. I would like to see Spencer and some of our other guys attend these races and support it. But I'm not the one cutting the check.
That's for sure. Do you think this can help make it a spectator sport?
I think Matt has, if he's said he had some dealings with Monster and stuff. I mean, I turn on the drone league and I can only stand 2 minutes of it, but that's not my world. I don't know who can watch that and really see what's going on. They fly into a net, fly through some things, which I'm sure is super skilled, and I couldn't even do it, but I'm more of a car guy, car moto guy. So if they're jumping triples and there's exhaust and they're coming in for fuel, I think it definitely could be something that could be viewed by people.
Yeah, I think in order to make it more spectator friendly, we actually have to make it and to get outside industry sponsors interested, we actually have to have a viable product and to present them. And I think like our races are just so based on entries and it's so long that the professional side of it is needed to cut it, make it shorter, have the best of the best out there showing what can be done, having proper commentating, catering to Joe Blow who doesn't know anything about this. And not just races, because when you go to a race, most guys are just calling out lap times, and that's what racers want to hear. Maybe we get a little bit of excitement, as they talk. And that's, it's very hard to be a race director and be an announcer. So that's a lot of things that have to happen, but you have to think of it like I say all the time. What's better? What's better for Supercross? Anderson and Roxon racing at some race where there's 150 people, or all of them together racing in a world, like a championship series where everybody can watch and support it. So yeah.
I mean, you need all the levels to hit. You need the club racing to be going off. You need the big races to be going, and then if you're going to call it the pro level, RCGP, which is what I would call a pro level event. You need all the tiers. That's the graduating, to make it to RCGP. So I really couldn't fault anything he had said. And, a lot of people look at Joseph as a little controversy, but I think he's really good at writing and he's smart. And I hope them the best for sure. Anything to grow the hobby, I'm all for. Sign me up.
Yeah, but he should shut up sometimes, though. He should shut up sometimes.
Well, that's why they make channels. You can change the channel if you don't like what he's what he's spewing.
Hey, I work with him. I have to hear it every day. So
yeah. No, some stuff, but
I get it.
That's probably what's wrong with the world today is everybody's too politically correct. I mean, there's a channel, you can change it, or a mouse, and you can click away from it. You don't have to be
scroll on by.
Guarded.
I tell people all the time, just keep scrolling. You ain't gotta stop and comment. You can keep on scrolling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you came onto this talk with us. I really enjoyed it. But we have one segment that we have to do because it's actually a sponsored segment, and it's the fastraceshop.com 10 questions in 10 seconds.
Okay.
So I have to do my introduction of this. Basically, I'm going to ask you 10 questions. I didn't send these to you because these have to be off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
Right.
Yep.
And you have to think fast. So let me just do my introduction to it, and then we can start it. So,
okay, buddy.
So now we go into the Fast Race 10 questions in 10 seconds segments. Fast Race is a world champion option parts brand made in Italy. Fast Race drivers include David Ongaro and Riccardo Bertone, and they run an innovative, performing, enhancing parts that Fast Race makes. That's a tongue twister. Most 8-scale buggies run, including the world-famous honeycomb shock bladders and caps. Go to fastraceshop.com, type in Lefty 2019, and get 10% off your purchase. So you ready? You ready, Richard?
Ready.
All right. First question. James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, or Jeremy McGrath?
James Stewart.
Okay. Number 2. Your biggest rivalry in RC was with?
Mark Pavidis.
Okay. Number 3. Favorite worlds and why?
Would be Australia.
Okay.
Because Associated won, and was awesome to be with all the team guys: McBride, Ungaro, Rifkin, Cavallari. You know, our whole team worked awesome together.
Great. Number 4. If you didn't work at AE, what would you be doing?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. Boy, I guess now my passion would be mountain bikes. So something in the mountain bike industry, I guess.
Okay, that's cool. Number 5, road trip music.
Would be the Jam.
The Jam.
Old school.
All right. Number 6. Are you really better than Nagani?
You know, I guess I would say no. He has a world championship. I don't.
And you know what? You guys' rivalry is still going on to this day. Like, it's friendly.
We have fun.
Yeah. He's like, just like when I talked to you at AMS, I mean, I can't wait to DNC to watch you guys race again.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's funny. We did JBRL a couple of years ago. I somehow won the pro class, and then I ended up losing to him in the over 40 class. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
All right, number 7. Truck or e-buggy? I think I've
e-buggy. I think truggy should go away, and we should just race buggy and e-buggy. That just would make it easier for
and cheaper
the consumer.
Yep.
Yes.
Hold on. What are we on? Actually, can RC be a spectator sport? I already asked you this, but
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Number 9. When will you retire?
Oh, I've been retired for 10 years now. I never. I have too much fun driving my car, and it's a hobby for me. I've put in my time. I do get embarrassed when I suck really bad out there, and so I do have that fire, but it's not life or death. I mean, when I'm at the races, it's all about the other guys, and me getting up on the driver's stand is fun. You know, it's awesome. Like, I got to drive it at Australia. You know, Associated asked me, Brent, you know, do you want to race the Worlds? Hell yeah, I want to race. But if they didn't ask me, I wouldn't race. So I'm mainly there for support for our AE guys and make sure everybody has their parts, or if they need a hand. So, yeah, I like driving. I go Wednesday nights over to OCRC with Robert Black and Jay Katz and Chris McElroy, and we go and drive a little bit, go have dinner, and then come back and race.
That's awesome. Number 10. Who is the next big American racer?
The next big American racer. Wow. I mean, you'd be hard pressed not to put CJ Jellin in there.
Yep.
There's a lot of young kids that are coming up that are going pretty fast. There's a kid that runs for Losi, Fuller. I'm not sure if I'm.
Yeah, Mason Fuller. Mason Fuller, I think his name is. Yeah.
Him and his brother, those
good. They're very good, very good.
So I haven't been able to see them race. Camden Lime, he goes good.
Yep.
EJ Schumacher,
Ryan Pavitas is good.
Yeah, Ryan, he goes good. So yeah, there's a lot of younger kids, but CJ would probably be leading that class with age and what he's done. He goes good.
Very good racer. Very good. I have one more question. This is number 11, but. Hey, did you lend Joseph your truggies or did he take them? Because we still got them in the van.
I don't know where that spare one came from, but no, he's more than welcome to use them. He goes and bumps to the A main, and then there has to be a controversy with him and Degani. So it's always, the funny thing, that's his support class. He goes out there and makes the A main in that one, but then in his real class, he didn't make the main.
Yeah,
so
sounds about right. With Joseph.
It's always a circus, but those are good stories.
Yeah, it's always fun when Degani's around. It's always going to be some story.
Oh man, the one thing about Degani, if there's cheating involved, he's pretty high on the level. I think he had a gyro.
Oh boy, but, I'd love to get you two on at the same time. That would be funny.
Yeah, no, he's it's funny because Spencer's like, how is that guy? I go, dude, he is fast. Trust me. He's fast. It was that time and day. Everything evolves.
And he's knowledgeable too. He's so he is.
He is.
When it comes to
smart.
Setup and everything.
Smart. Yeah, and Chad Bradley, Mark Pavitas, he's been around and done it, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I drove your truggy here in El Paso the other day, and I didn't break it. So I didn't break it, but Joseph said after I drove it, it's completely screwed. So he's got to get a new one.
Too funny. Have fun with it. Do some wheelies.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. I was really excited about this, and thank you for coming on. You enjoy your Christmas and
happy holidays to everybody. Be safe and sane.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully I'll see you at DNC and we can tease Degani together.
Sounds like a plan, buddy.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
And that concludes episode 8 of the No Name RC podcast. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming on and sharing your opinions and talking with us tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I really enjoyed this podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you about your experiences in RC. I hope you all enjoyed it as well because Richard is truly a legend in our sport. With that said, that's it for us until January. Hopefully we'll have a silly season recap in our next podcast. We'll see. We're waiting for everybody to make their announcements. Before I leave, I just want to say to everybody in RC who races around the world, enjoy your holidays. Maybe it's Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, or maybe you don't celebrate it. I don't know. But enjoy your time with your loved ones because time is promised to nobody. So enjoy that time. These are special times, so we must enjoy them. If you're racing, have fun, man. You guys are probably racing your new cars and whatnot. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Christmas Day, maybe Christmas. I don't know. I know there's some races coming up the weekend after Christmas. And then obviously there's always a race, a hangover race or something on the 1st of January. So if you guys are racing, man, just keep having fun. Because remember, at the end of the day, we do this to have fun. If you ain't having fun, it don't make sense doing it. So just don't take it so serious, man. Remember, have fun. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Happy holidays to all of you. Thank you for your support with the No Name RC podcast. Remember, if you want to continue to support us even more, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/thequagrain. Every little bit helps. It's greatly appreciated. And Lefty's about to hang up and enjoy his family for the Christmas holidays. I love Christmas. Good food,
good drink, good times. Remember, nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. And if you ain't having fun, it don't make sense. With that said, Lefty out.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/The Quay Grain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, nitro is the glory.